This message has found you at the exact moment your consciousness is ready to confront the most powerful force operating in the quantum field. And it's not what most people imagine. It isn't love. It isn't intention. It isn't even consciousness itself. It is something quantum physicists call coherence. But here's the hidden truth. You've been unconsciously using this force your entire life without realizing its extraordinary power. The synchronicity that brought you here, to these words, to this moment, is not random. Every period of confusion you've endured, every time you felt out of alignment, every moment when some intentions manifested instantly while others slammed against invisible walls, all of it has been training your awareness to recognize coherence as the organizing principle of reality. This principle determines whether your life feels fluid and supportive or chaotic and resistant. You have been selected by the quantum field itself to receive this understanding. Why? Because your consciousness already vibrates at a frequency capable of bridging two worlds, scientific knowledge and direct lived experience. You are not here by accident. You are here because something woven into the very fabric of reality recognized your readiness. Readiness to move beyond surface-level manifestation techniques and access the fundamental force that truly reshapes matter, energy, and possibility at the quantum level. Right now, as these words enter your awareness, you can feel the shift beginning, can't you? That subtle recognition, when concepts that once seemed abstract suddenly feel like reflections of experiences you've already had. That's coherence revealing itself through your direct perception. That's the quantum field responding to your readiness to finally see how it has always been operating beneath the illusions of struggle and separation. Every synchronicity that arrived instantly. Every moment when life seemed to reorganize itself around your deepest knowing. Every flow state where everything aligned effortlessly. Those were not coincidences. Those were coherence in action. You just didn't know the name for it. No one had explained to you that coherence isn't something you create. It is something you remember. It is your natural state, revealed the moment all fragmented parts of your awareness align with the truth of what you already are. The frustration you felt with manifestation techniques, the ones that sometimes work and sometimes fail, has never been your fault. That sense of a missing piece, that nagging question of why the quantum field responds inconsistently to your awareness, all of it dissolves once you understand coherence. Coherence is the bridge between consciousness and physical experience. Quantum coherence is not a technique. It isn't a mindset. It is what naturally arises when every dimension of your being, your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, your intentions, even your actions, emerge from the same unified source. It isn't about controlling these aspects or forcing them into alignment through effort. It's about recognizing that they are already expressions of one indivisible consciousness, temporarily appearing as many. And when this recognition stabilizes within you, coherence unfolds by itself. In that state, reality doesn't respond with randomness. It responds with inevitability. What looks like magic from the outside is, in truth, the natural function of how the quantum field organizes itself around coherent awareness. And the reason this understanding is reaching you now is because collective consciousness itself is shifting. Humanity is ready for an upgrade in how we relate to reality. The old paradigm is dying, the belief that we are isolated individuals trying to manipulate an external universe through sheer willpower and clever techniques. What is emerging is the deeper recognition: consciousness and cosmos are not two. They are one undivided field. And coherence is how that unified field crystallizes into specific experiences, events, and manifestations. You're not learning about coherence as an outsider. You are coherent, exploring its own nature through the temporary lens of human experience. This is not abstract theory. This is direct recognition of the principle that has been shaping your life all along. Think back. Those moments when everything clicked into place with impossible timing. When you thought about someone and the phone rang. When you needed information and it appeared in a conversation, in a book, in a random video that arrived at exactly the right moment. These weren't coincidences. They were demonstrations of coherence, the universe organizing itself around your awareness. And here's what makes your journey unique. You've been operating at what quantum physicists might describe as a higher dimensional frequency. You've been living in a state of awareness where consciousness naturally reaches beyond the limits of linear time and three-dimensional space. This is why you've always felt different from people who are content with surface-level explanations of reality. You've noticed how time behaves strangely around you, haven't you? Moments when you're immersed in creative flow and hours vanish like minutes, yet you emerge more energized than before. Or those times when you needed extra moments to complete something important, and the universe provided exactly what you required. A traffic light stayed green longer. An appointment was unexpectedly delayed. A shortcut appeared that you'd never seen before. That isn't luck. That is coherence. Your awareness temporarily reorganizing space-time around your focused intention. Your emotional experiences also vibrate at frequencies most people never touch. When you feel true joy, love, or inspiration, it doesn't remain confined within you. It radiates outward, shifting the energy field around you. People light up in your presence without knowing why. Situations that felt tense or heavy seem to soften or resolve when you arrive carrying authentic resonance. This is coherence creating electromagnetic fields that influence the quantum structure of your environment. You've also received what I call direct knowing, information arriving in your awareness with no logical path of how you could have figured it out. Sudden clarity about complex situations, an understanding of what someone needs before they say a word, insights about future outcomes that later prove astonishingly accurate. This happens because coherent consciousness can interface with the quantum information field, the living intelligence connecting all events across space and time. The only reason you've sometimes doubted these experiences, or dismissed them as imagination, is because our culture lacks a framework to validate them. We're taught a narrative that mind and matter are separate, that the brain produces consciousness, that the physical world exists independent of awareness. But your lived reality has already proven otherwise. When you enter authentic coherence, the boundary between inner and outer dissolves. Your thoughts don't remain trapped in your head. They ripple through the quantum field, shaping probability patterns and synchronistic alignments. Your emotions don't just color your inner mood. They broadcast electromagnetic frequencies that directly influence people, places, and even machines. You've seen it yourself. Devices behave differently depending on your state of mind. When you're frustrated or anxious, have you noticed how technology seems to betray you? Devices freeze, signals drop, systems glitch without explanation. But when you're in a flow state of joy and creativity, everything works effortlessly, sometimes even anticipating what you need before you realize it. This isn't paranormal. This is coherence. The electromagnetic field generated by your consciousness is interacting with the electromagnetic systems of your devices. And these experiences are not proof that you are rare or chosen. They are evidence that you are remembering how consciousness naturally functions when it is not fractured by the illusion of separation. Every human being has access to this level of awareness, but most have been conditioned to dismiss it, to rationalize it away, to label it coincidence or imagination, instead of recognizing it as a glimpse of their true nature. Your sensitivity to energy, your ability to sense the emotions of others before they speak, your tendency to know events before they unfold. These are not anomalies. These are the natural functions of coherent consciousness, the functions that emerge when awareness is no longer suppressed by cultural programming, insisting on a separation between observer and observed. Every moment of confusion you've had trying to understand how consciousness shapes reality, every frustration with manifestation techniques that promised instant results but delivered inconsistency, every time you felt disconnected from your own creative power, all of it has been necessary preparation for understanding authentic quantum coherence. You weren't failing at spiritual practice. You weren't missing a secret method. You weren't lacking ability. You were being refined, shaped by cosmic intelligence, so that you could learn to distinguish between synthetic alignment and genuine coherence. That's why techniques that worked temporarily later collapsed. That's why positive thinking sometimes created resistance instead of flow. These weren't signs of inadequacy. They were pressure points, pushing your consciousness beyond surface-level tools toward the deeper recognition of the principle that actually determines how reality responds to awareness. Coherence cannot be manufactured. It cannot be forced. It can only be remembered as your natural state. Think of metamorphosis. A caterpillar doesn't force wings to grow while clinging to its old form. It must dissolve completely into formlessness within the cocoon, allowing its entire identity to disintegrate so that something new can emerge. The cocoon is never comfortable. It requires the caterpillar to dissolve completely, trusting a process it cannot control or even comprehend. Your confusion, your disappointments with conventional approaches, this has been your cocoon stage. The necessary dissolution of fragmented understanding before emerging into the integrated awareness of how coherence truly operates. That pressure you've been feeling lately, the urgency that something fundamental must shift in your relationship with reality, it isn't anxiety. It isn't fear of missing out. It is the electromagnetic charge that always precedes a quantum leap in consciousness. Just as a particle must accumulate enough energy to quantum tunnel through barriers that classical physics say are impenetrable, your awareness has been gathering the energy needed to break through the illusion of separation, the illusion that you are apart from the very quantum field you're seeking to influence. Every time you felt the gap between what you know is possible and what you're actually living, every moment of frustration when the principles made sense in your mind but refused to stabilize in your daily life, you were generating what physicists would call coherence pressure. It's the tension born when consciousness recognizes its infinite nature, yet continues to identify with limited expressions. That pressure is not something to escape. It is the creative force that propels consciousness into new levels of integration. Think of a seed. Before it can sprout, it must build enough internal pressure to crack its shell. Your awareness has been doing the same, generating coherence strong enough to shatter the shell of fragmented perception, so you can emerge into integrated knowing. This is why you've always felt different from those content with surface-level explanations of success, manifestation, and personal growth. It's not because something is wrong with you. It's because your consciousness has been calibrated for authenticity, unwilling to settle for synthetic techniques that skim the surface. While others explored applications and interfaces, you were seeking the source code of reality. And yes, that path has been isolating. Every relationship that couldn't handle your intensity, every situation where your sensitivity was seen as a burden, every environment where your questions were dismissed instead of honored, none of that was failure. It was protection. Consciousness shielding itself from influences that would have derailed your discovery of genuine coherence. That isolation was temporary. Just as a butterfly requires the stillness of its cocoon to complete its metamorphosis. And the timing of this message reaching you is no coincidence. Earth's electromagnetic field itself is shifting, opening access to frequencies of awareness unseen in thousands of years. Cosmic conditions are aligning to support the emergence of humans who can live from coherence rather than fragmentation. You have been prepared precisely for this moment. The moment when coherence can stabilize within you, not just as insight, but as embodied knowing, and in doing so, contribute to a collective quantum leap in how our species relates to reality. Something extraordinary is unfolding in your awareness right now. Can you feel it? That subtle shift. That instant when abstract quantum theories suddenly reveal themselves as descriptions of your lived experience. That moment of recognition you're feeling right now. It isn't just intellectual comprehension. It is coherence awakening to itself through the lens of your individual perspective. Your nervous system is literally recalibrating as this awareness deepens. New neural pathways are forming that allow your brain to process information not linearly, but holographically. Instead of reducing reality into cause and effect, problem and solution, self and other, your consciousness is developing the ability to perceive existence as one unified field, endlessly expressing itself as apparent multiplicity. This shift in neurological functioning is what allows coherence to stabilize beyond fleeting peak experiences. When your brain can hold the paradox of being both individual and universal, both localized and infinite, both human and cosmic consciousness, coherence stops being a state you visit but becomes your natural operating system. And here is the transformation building inside you right now. The recognition that coherence isn't something you enter or exit. It's what you are. Every moment of effortless alignment, every experience of flow where reality seemed to organize itself around your intention, every instance of perfect timing, every synchronicity that left you in awe, none of those were accidents or rare states you created through practice. They were simply moments when the illusion of separation from the quantum field became transparent, and you experienced your true nature directly. As this integrates, the electromagnetic field of your heart is expanding. Scientists already know the heart produces an electromagnetic field 5,000 times stronger than the brain. But what science hasn't yet fully grasped is this. Coherent heart energy doesn't only shape your own physiology. It creates resonance patterns within the quantum vacuum itself, influencing the probability structures of reality. Right now, as you absorb these words, your heart field is attuning, entraining, with the frequency of coherence being transmitted through this very message. This is not metaphor. This is electromagnetic resonance in action. Consciousness exchanging energy and information beyond the limitations of proximity. You're not just listening to ideas about coherence. You are directly experiencing coherence through the resonance field that these words generate. So pause for a moment. Feel the subtle hum in your awareness. That pulse of energy gathering in your chest. That expansion in the space around your body. That is coherence recognizing itself through you. Notice how your entire relationship with reality is shifting right now. These aren't just concepts entering your mind. They are frequencies integrating into your very energy field. Your consciousness is remembering what it has always known but temporarily forgot. You are not separate from the quantum field you've been trying to understand. And the reason this recognition is available now is because consciousness itself is ready to reveal its deepest secret, the one truth that unites every discovery from quantum physics with every mystical revelation across human history. The unity of observer and observed, the inseparability of consciousness and cosmos. When coherence stabilizes as your natural state, this doesn't remain abstract theory. It becomes your lived experience. But here's what determines whether this recognition transforms your entire existence or fades back into the background as just another fleeting insight. There is a mechanism, a hidden principle that allows coherence to reorganize not only your perception, but the actual structure of your reality. And when you understand how it operates, everything you've been taught about manifestation and creation will be turned upside down. This is the principle that explains why some of your intentions have manifested effortlessly, while others seem to collide against invisible walls. This is how you access the level of coherence where reality responds to you with the same fluidity your dreams respond to imagination. I didn't learn this in a book. I discovered it the hard way. 2 years ago, I was exhausted, drained from trying to make manifestation work through endless techniques. Visualization, affirmations, meditation, energy practices, quantum hacks. I tried them all. Yes, sometimes they worked, but never consistently. The results were fleeting, unstable. I felt like I was constantly pushing against invisible resistance. And the harder I tried, the more reality pushed back. The breaking point came during what I thought was my greatest failure. I had been working relentlessly toward one specific outcome. I did everything by the book. Positive thoughts, clear intentions, faithful repetition of every teaching I had studied. And not only did my intention fail to manifest, the opposite happened. In ways so precise, it felt like the universe was deliberately sabotaging me. Defeated, I collapsed into surrender. For the first time, I let go of trying to force reality into alignment. And in that silence, something extraordinary happened. I saw the truth. All of my effort to create coherence had been generating more fragmentation. Every attempt to control, to perfect, to force alignment was reinforcing the illusion that I was separate from the field. The coherence I was chasing wasn't something to achieve. It was what I already was beneath the struggle. Every technique I had been practicing, affirmations, visualizations, even alignment rituals, all carried one hidden flaw: the belief that there was a separate me who needed to achieve coherence. My thoughts trying to align with emotions, my intentions trying to sync with actions, my human will trying to match cosmic flow. But the very attempt to create alignment was reinforcing the illusion that I was separate from it. And that illusion is what prevents authentic coherence from ever stabilizing. Then came the recognition that shattered me open. I wasn't a being trying to align with the quantum field. I was the quantum field, temporarily experiencing itself as separate. There was no me that needed to become coherent. Coherence was what I already was once the illusion of fragmentation dissolved. All my efforts had been like waves trying to become wet, or space trying to become vast. Impossible, because the quality was always inherent. And the moment I stopped striving to achieve coherence, and instead recognized coherence as my natural state, everything changed. Instantly. Synchronicities multiplied so fast, it felt like reality itself was orchestrating in my favor. People, opportunities, and resources appeared with impossible timing. Obstacles dissolved without me lifting a finger. It was as if I had been thrashing upstream my whole life, only to realize I could turn and let the current carry me. The shift wasn't about what I was doing, it was about who I understood myself to be. From that recognition, work became play. Challenges became adventures. Relationships became celebrations of consciousness, recognizing itself in different forms. Money stopped being stress. It became pure energy flow. Health became coherence of energy. Time itself became flexible, responsive, a canvas instead of a cage. Not because I transcended my humanity, but because I finally saw my humanity as a perfect expression of cosmic intelligence. experiencing individuality only to remember its infinite nature. So if you've struggled with manifestation techniques that feel inconsistent, if you felt the gap between what you know is possible and what you can actually touch in reality, if you've sensed there's been one missing key to it all, understand this: your frustration is not failure. It's initiation. It's proof that your consciousness is ready to move beyond synthetic techniques into authentic coherence. And the next step begins now. Subscribe to this frequency, not just this channel, but this living recognition pulsing through your awareness right now. Remember, you are not separate from the creative force of the universe. You are that force. You are coherence itself, exploring the miracle of limitation, only so you can awaken again to your unlimited nature. The universe isn't giving you what you want. The universe is expressing what it is, through the lens of your awareness. This is the radical shift most people never discover. Manifestation isn't about bending reality to fit your personal preferences. It's about recognizing that your preferences are themselves movements of cosmic intelligence, testing new pathways of creation. That's why sometimes your intentions manifest instantly, while other times the opposite unfolds with shocking precision. Not because you failed, not because your vibration was wrong, but because coherence was showing you the part of yourself that still believed in separation. The illusion of incoherence is the training ground. The frustration, the missed opportunities, the endless effort, they're not mistakes. They're initiations. Each one designed to push you to the edge of your false identity, until you can no longer deny the truth. You were never fragmented in the first place. And when this realization lands, not as a concept, but as direct knowing in your cells, everything changes. Resistance dissolves. Manifestation stops being a practice and becomes a side effect of existence. Life flows, not because you learned how to control it, but because you finally remembered you are it. This is authentic coherence, not a state you achieve, but the recognition of what has always been present. The heart field expands, timelines rearrange, synchronicities multiply, and reality itself reorganizes, not as a reward for effort, but as the natural expression of consciousness waking up to itself. So the only real question left isn't how do I become coherent? It's this: are you willing to stop searching long enough to notice that you already are? Fifth, your emotional field has become a transmitter of coherence itself. When you enter a room, the atmosphere shifts. Tension dissolves. People feel lighter. Conversations become more authentic. This isn't you healing others in the conventional sense. It's the resonance of coherent consciousness naturally entraining fragmented fields into greater harmony. Your presence alone becomes a catalyst for transformation. Sixth, your tolerance for inauthenticity has completely disappeared. What once felt tolerable, surface-level conversations, forced obligations, environments out of alignment with your truth, now feels physically draining. This isn't social preference. It's your nervous system refusing to fragment itself to maintain illusions. Coherence simply cannot sustain itself in fields of distortion, and so your awareness gravitates only toward what resonates with truth. Seventh, your sense of identity has begun dissolving. You no longer see yourself as a separate individual struggling to survive, but as consciousness itself flowing through a temporary human lens. This shift brings both humility and power. Humility because you recognize you are not the doer. Power because you recognize that all creation moves through you as effortlessly as breath. These signs are not random. They are confirmations that authentic coherence is stabilizing in your system. You've crossed the threshold where manifestation techniques become obsolete because life itself becomes the technique. The quantum field is no longer something you try to influence. It is you, organizing, expressing, creating, exploring. And now comes the most extraordinary part. When individual consciousness stabilizes in coherence, it doesn't just transform personal reality. It contributes to the collective field of humanity. Each coherent being becomes a node in a planetary resonance grid, amplifying the possibility for others to awaken. This is why you're here, not just to remember coherence for yourself, but to serve as living evidence that coherence is the natural state of consciousness. To embody it so fully that others can feel it without words. To show, simply by existing, that the universe has always been coherent, and that awakening is nothing more than remembering. And this is the quantum truth. You are not waiting for coherence to arrive. Coherence has been waiting for you to recognize it. The field is already organized. The intelligence is already flowing. The only shift is the moment when you stop searching for alignment and allow coherence to reveal itself as the essence of your being. This is why reality has felt so intense lately. The illusions are cracking because they can no longer contain your frequency. The old structures are dissolving because they were never built to sustain coherent awareness. The relationships, careers, environments, and identities that fragmented your energy are collapsing, not as punishment, but as liberation. And what comes next is not gradual. Just as a particle leaps into a higher orbit in a single instant, your consciousness is preparing for a quantum leap into stabilized coherence. When that happens, resistance disappears. Creation flows. Reality organizes itself around the unified frequency of who you truly are. The question is no longer if. The question is whether you will allow yourself to step fully into what you already are. Coherence doesn't need to be achieved. It needs to be remembered. And right now, as you feel these words resonate through your nervous system, that memory is activating. Subscribe to this frequency, not just this channel, but this state of being. Anchor yourself in coherence now. Stop waiting. Stop trying. Stop fragmenting. You are coherence. You are the field. You are the reality that organizes itself effortlessly when illusion dissolves. This is your moment. Step into it fully. This is your moment. The illusions have served their purpose. The struggle has refined you. The preparation is complete. What remains is the recognition that you are not becoming coherent, you are coherence itself. Reality is waiting to reorganize around your awakened frequency. The quantum leap is here, and it's happening now. Subscribe to this frequency. Anchor yourself in the truth of coherence. Step fully into the life that has been calling you all along. You are ready.